So, TGI Fridays, yeah, the place with the red booths, flair on the waitstaff, and that classic bar vibe just filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. If you've been a fan of their wings or a happy hour regular, this news might come as a shock. But honestly, if you've been watching the economy or even the restaurant industry lately, maybe it's not so surprising. The company is saying COVID-19 was a massive hit, and fair enough, the pandemic was brutal on all sit-down chains. But here's the kicker. While they're telling us that they're exploring strategic alternatives to keep the brand afloat, they're also slashing locations left and right. They just shut down 50 more spots, leaving only 163 locations across the US, and who knows if that number will keep dropping. The company's execs are assuring everyone that this is to protect stakeholders and keep all locations open during the bankruptcy process. But given their track record, that's pretty tough to believe. Let's take a look at the big picture here. TGI Fridays isn't alone in this struggle. Just this year, Red Lobster, Buca di Beppo, and even Hooters filed for bankruptcy too. And the reasoning is eerily similar across the board. Rising costs, inflation eating into consumers' wallets, and private equity groups that bought up these brands, racked up a bunch of debt, and are now stuck with a mess they can't fix. It's not just a TGI Fridays problem. It's an industry-wide issue. And think about it. Even though inflation is officially slowing, people are still choosing cheaper options like fast food or even cooking at home because, yeah, who wants to pay double for a sit-down meal? The average check at a sit-down restaurant is almost double what you'd pay at a fast food joint. That's a tough sell when you're pinching pennies, and it's showing up in the numbers. Customer traffic at these full-service places is down about 17% from 2019. Not exactly the bounce back you'd expect after the pandemic. And it's not just the customers. The restaurants themselves are battling soaring labor costs. Back in the day, places like TGI Fridays could keep labor costs around 30 to 35% of gross sales. Now, it's pushing 40 to 45%. And sure, they could hike up menu prices, but in this economy, who's going to pay more? Especially when there's a $7.92 fast food option right down the street. These businesses are really caught between a rock and a hard place. But let's talk gift cards. Yep, those little plastic cards with $10, $20, maybe $50 just sitting there, unspent. TGI Fridays has nearly $50 million in unused gift cards floating around. Now, with bankruptcy in the mix, there's a lot of concern about what happens to those, and some franchisees are sweating, worried they'll be stuck honoring those cards with no guarantee of being reimbursed by TGI Fridays. So if you have one of these cards, my advice? Use it, don't wait. In bankruptcy cases, gift card holders are usually at the bottom of the list when it comes to getting their money back, so the use it or lose it situation here is real. At the end of the day, the fact that a place like TGI Fridays couldn't survive is telling us a lot about where the economy's at right now, or at least where the priorities are. And as much as some of these chains are trying to win people back with discounts and endless promotions, it's barely enough to keep them above water. Some of these strategies, like all-you-can-eat shrimp deals that Red Lobster tried before it filed for bankruptcy, sound great, but let's be real. They're not sustainable. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a sinking ship. Look, I'd love to say that things will bounce back, but the trend isn't exactly inspiring. The old business model of sit-down chains, stable, predictable, and family-friendly, just isn't cutting it anymore. Unless they pull a Chili's, which actually saw some success by trimming down their menu, focusing on staples, and hitting social media hard, I don't see this trend reversing. If you're someone who enjoys these places or even just has a gift card lying around, don't wait too long to enjoy it. And if you want to keep up with more insights on how the economy's shifting and affecting our everyday choices, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join the conversation in the comments. See you next time.